and functions.
This slide presents the overview of the chapter. Learning objectives. By the end of this chapter, you will be able to
Understand the importance of cell. Explain about the cell membrane and cell wall. Describe the nucleus. Differentiate between protoplasm and cytoplasm. Illustrate the important cell organelles. Explain the origin of cells.
Introduction. Before entering into the chapter, follow the instructions shown on the screen. Click each tab to know more.
In lower classes, we learned that cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Every living organism is made up of cells, whether they are unicellular or multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms have different cell structures when compared to multicellular organisms, and also plant cells have different structures when compared to animal cells. Example, onion cells are in a rectangular shape while cheek cells are circular in shape. When a cell is observed under a compound microscope, some parts like cytoplasm, cell wall, nucleus, mitochondria, and chloroplast are observed. When the same cell is observed under electronic microscope, some other structures are visible. Do you know what are the different parts of the plant cell and animal cell? What are the important cell organelles? Do you think that cells are flat structures? Where do the cells come from? What common features do you see in plant and animal cells? Let us try to answer these questions and learn more about the structure of a cell and its functions. Now, let us study about the cell. All the organelles shown in the typical plant or animal cell will not exist in every cell. For example, chloroplasts are always shown in the plant cell, but all plants do not contain chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are mostly found in the cells of green leaves, stems, etc. Typical cell provides a way to study about different cells. Now, let us study about different parts of the plant. First, let us learn about cell membrane or plasma membrane. The animal cell is covered with a layer called cell membrane. The plant cell is also covered by the cell membrane. But this cell membrane is in turn covered by another layer called cell wall. To understand and observe the cell wall, let us perform an activity. Here, let us perform an activity to observe the cell membrane in Rio leaf. Click each tab to know more. Take a Rio leaf and break it to take out a peel. Take a permanent slide. Place this peel on a slide and put a drop of water on it. Next, cover it with a cover slip. Place the permanent slide mount under microscope and observe the light portion of a leaf under it. It is observed that the leaf peel contains green-colored granules termed as chloroplasts. These chloroplasts contain chlorophyll, which helps in the process of photosynthesis. Take concentrated salt solution. Now add 1 or 2 drops of concentrated salt solution on the leaf peel. Leave it aside for 5 to 10 minutes. Cover the slide with cover slip and place it under microscope. Next, observe the changes under microscope. It is observed that the water present in rheoleaf comes out, which results in shrinking of cytoplasm and cell membrane. From this activity, we learned that when a salt solution is poured over a peel of rheoleaf, the water present inside the rheoleaf comes out. This leads to the shrinking of cytoplasm along with the cell boundary. The outer boundary of colored area is called cell membrane. This cell membrane is separated from the cell wall. Cell membrane is flexible and mainly consists of lipids and proteins. Cell membrane is the outermost layer of the cell structure. It separates cytoplasm from external environment. This is also called plasma membrane. Functions of the cell membrane. It defines the size and shape of the cell. It encloses the cytoplasm and protects it from external environment. The cell membrane plays a vital role in maintaining the balance of various substances inside the cell body. The exchange of substances through the membrane happens selectively. Hence, this membrane is termed as selective permeable membrane. This important characteristic of the membrane helps in controlling the exchange of substances between the cell and its external environment. Now, let us study about the other important extra layer of the plant cell called the cell wall. Cell wall is the unique feature which is observed in plant cells. The main difference between the plant cell and the animal cell is the cell wall. The plant cell consists of a cell wall outside of the cell membrane, whereas animal cells do not contain cell wall. Characteristics of cell wall. It is tough and is the most important part of the cell. It is a flexible porous layer that provides a definite shape and cell protection. It exchanges substances continuously with other cells during its growth and development. It provides mechanical strength and support to the cell. It has narrow tiny pores called pits and very fine strands of cytoplasm called plasmodesmata. Role of the cell wall in plant cells. The plant cells have greater resistivity over surrounding medium when compared to animal cells because the plant cells applies an inward wall pressure to resist the outward pressure exerted by the cell sap. Here, let us perform an activity to observe the nucleus in cheek cells. Click each tab to know more. To observe the nucleus in cheek cells. To perform this experiment, the materials required are a toothpick or ice cream spoon, permanent slide, cover slip, watch glass, needle, blotting paper, 1% methylene blue, glycerin, microscope, etc. Precautions. Do not scrape the cheek too hard because it may injure you. Scraped material should be spread uniformly on the slide. See that there should not be any air bubbles under the cover slip. Excess stains should be drained off on the permanent slide. Take a permanent slide and add few drops of methylene blue on it. Now take a toothpick in such a way that the flat end should be placed inside the mouth. Now put the toothpick inside the mouth and move the pick up and down for 12 times by sweeping against the cheek. Remove the toothpick from the mouth and place it on the die and spread the toothpick in the die to enable our cheek cells to spread out. Remove the toothpick from the die and cover it with a cover slip. Tap the needle on the cover slip to spread the cells. Place the permanent slide mount under the microscope. Observe the permanent slide under the low and high power of the microscope. Note the observations in your book. It is observed that the shapes of the cheek cells are irregular. It is observed that each cheek cell has a dark-colored border. It is observed that dark-colored spherical and oval-shaped structures are present near the center of the cell. The dark-colored outer edge of cheek cells is called cell membrane. The dark blue color inside the cell membrane is called cytoplasm. Dark-colored spherical and oval-shaped structures near the center of the cell is called nucleus. Nucleus is named by Robert Brown in the year 1831. Nucleus is the most important organelle of the cell. It is also termed as the cell's control room. Nucleus is the largest and is different from all the cell organelles. Schleiden, who proposed the cell theory, thought that new cells were created from the nucleus called cytoblast. Functions of nucleus. Nucleus regulates and controls all the functions of the cell. It determines the characteristics of an organism. It consists of all the genetic information. It is involved in the process of cell division. The nuclear membrane encloses the nucleus and separates it from its contents of cytoplasm. Nuclear membrane is similar to the cell membrane. Cells are categorized into types based on the presence or absence of the organized nucleus. They are eukaryotic cells, organized nucleus, and prokaryotic cells without organized nucleus. Eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells contain a membrane-bounded nucleus. Almost all the eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. Red blood cells in some mammals and phloem sieve tubes in plants contain nuclei in the beginning and later thrown out of the cells and destroyed. Prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells. Cytoplasm. In cells, the space between the plasma membrane and nucleus is called cytoplasm. It consists of various inorganic molecules like water, salts, proteins, nucleic acids, organic compounds, and different kinds of enzymes. Cytoplasm is made up of various cell organelles. These cell organelles are bounded by a plasma membrane. Each of these cell organelles perform a particular function for the cell. We have already learned that eukaryotes have membrane-bounded cell organelles, whereas prokaryotes do not contain membrane-bounded cell organelles, except membraneless ribosomes. Functions of the cytoplasm. It helps in the exchange of materials between cell organelles. Breaking down of nucleus takes place in cytoplasm. It helps in intracellular distribution of molecules, enzymes, and nutrients within the cell. Biosynthesis of proteins, fatty acids, and nucleotides takes place in cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, which indicates life fluid. But after the invention else, thus, it is understood that life resides inside and the outside of the nucleus is different. Hence, protoplasm is renamed as cytoplasm, which is a cell fluid. The fluid present inside the nucleus is named as nuclear fluid or nucleoplasm. Now, let us learn about the important cell organelles in plant cell. Cell organelles perform an important function in the cell. There are many cell organelles that are found in cytoplasm of this cell. They are Endoplasmic Reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosome, mitochondria, ribosomes, plastids, vacuole. Click each tab to know more. Endoplasmic reticulum. When a cell is observed under an electron microscope, a network of membranes appear throughout the cytoplasm called endoplasmic reticulum, ER. This network creates passages in the cytoplasm to transport the substances from one part of the cell to other. The structure of ER membrane is similar to the plasma membrane.